Welcome, Stargazers. This is a special separate report from the November horoscope. I am doing the November horoscope, but I'll just take a second. And I apologize for not being more aesthetically pleasing in the camera. But honey, in case you're not aware, I'm 60 and this is the face I got and this is the face you're going to see. So be kind. All right, so some things before we get into the November horoscope that I thought were very noteworthy, and I want you guys to go down this rabbit hole with me because it's pretty interesting. This month we have two asteroids that are coming together. It's Deucalion, right, and Typhon. I'll put the links to all of this down below. And Typhon has to do with typhoons. Deucalion apparently also has to do with flooding and flood survivors. So I'm looking at the beginning of this month opening up with some major water activity. We could be wrong. These are asteroids, but it will be interesting to watch. And the reason I'm saying this is because these are both combining with the planet Mars, which is the last degrees of Scorpio. So there is some redemption about to happen for a whole lot of people. With that in mind, also joining these two asteroids will be the asteroid Dzieweanna or Dwana. It's a Eastern European pronunciation and I don't know how to pronounce it. Who is apparently the Slavic goddess of the wild, the forest, and the hunt. And by the way, she's a feminist goddess. She's the first feminist goddess. So Dzieweanna and Deucalion and Typhon are all together at the beginning of this month with Mars. So I'm looking at the possibility of some huge planetary water activity. Like Noah's Ark size kind of thing. Could be wrong. We'll see. And also, because this is a Slavic goddess, I would be not surprised if Ukraine really came up into prominence again, like a lion roaring kind of thing, at the beginning of November. So the flood could be a flood of tears. The flood could be natural water floods. The flood could be heavy, heavy rains that washes away things. And the flood, remember, water is feminine power. Water belongs to woman. Okay? So it is entirely possible that this rise of water, right, with Deucalion and Typhon, could represent the swell, the groundswell of female energy as we rise up to put an end to this nonsense. But so I'm looking at the Ukraine or Eastern Europe coming in hot and heavy at the beginning of the month. So let's see what happens. All right, now also what's of interest at the beginning of this month is we have other asteroids that are really worth looking up just for the mythology. So it's Hidalgo. It's a Spanish pronunciation. Forgive me if I'm doing it wrong. And Hidalgo is a character from Spanish culture in history that absolutely started the Mexican Revolution or Mexican Independence Day, because Mexico used to be under, we were under England, Mexico was under Spain. Okay. And Hidalgo, this particular character, was like, nope, finally got to the point where it was enough is enough. And he started the revolution. Right. Now, what's interesting about Hidalgo is you would think Hidalgo represents the common man, and he does, sort of, but not really, because Hidalgo is considered a lesser nobleman. So Hidalgo translates into the son of something, right, as opposed to top level nobility. So in the U.S., this could absolutely be our House of Representatives, right? So Hidalgo, there may be a rise, something really powerful happening with the House of Representatives. Hidalgo energy coming in hot and heavy, which will be interesting to see, because in the United States government, the senators would be considered the royalty, the royal court, right, with the president as the leader, and the House of Representatives would be the lesser nobleman, which is who Hidalgo was and who has started the revolution to get out from underneath the control of Spain. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the House of Reps here in the United States, and of course elsewhere, but keep an eye on that. Also, at this time, along with Hidalgo, Industria, okay, the asteroid Industria, and the asteroid Hecate, or Hecate, I'm going to say Hecate, are all together with Hidalgo. Now, Industria represents industries. So there's a big economic push that's happening here and that could be disruptive to industries. Not that we're already having our industries disrupted, right? But the Industria could also represent the common man. So Hidalgo, the lower nobleman, is literally being flanked on both sides and behind with the support of the common man. So whatever this represents, we've got a whole bunch of people who represent the underclasses, you and I. Well, most of you and I, uh, who are literally going to come into prominence at this time, at the same time that we've got floods, floods of tears, floods of rage, floods of emotion, some type of major water energy coming in. These things are happening at the same time. So the tipping point, I think, is here. The tipping point is here. And Hecate, who is a goddess, the asteroid for Hecate, who is a goddess. Now, Hecate's interesting. Hecate is a Titan goddess. She was the daughter of two Titans and the only child. And Hecate has a lot, if you look it up, there's a lot of really like, ooh, kind of, scary connections to her because people who've been writing the stuff for the internet, remember, these are human beings writing this. So, forgive them their biases. They've associated her with witchcraft, necromancy, sorry, which is dealing with the dead. We would call them mediums now, right? Ghosts. But what's downplayed or not emphasized enough is that Hecate, first of all, it translates into worker from afar. So when we talk about witchcraft or magic or prayer or visualization, anything that involves being remotely from the thing that we're looking to have happen, that's worker from afar. And that's typically what people used to associate with witchcraft, right? So if you're doing all your prayers and manifestations, you're doing the same thing. You're just using different language to get done. So don't freak out. The other thing is, given that and knowing what's going on here in the United States with the big orange blob, and his posse of perverts and idiots, there's a whole lot of not loving ya, right? That's been going on for years. So we may finally be seeing this like a wave in the ocean, right? Starting way back here, and it doesn't seem like anything until it goes closer and closer and closer. And because it started so far back, the momentum is huge. So now we no longer have a wave; we've got a tidal wave. So that may be what's happening at the very beginning of this month. It will be interesting to watch. So all of you who've been doing your best efforts to change the government, get him out of there, and hard heads make for soft asses, and get the rest of the orange crew under control and kind of seeing what's really happening. It's coming. I think it's coming. I think this first couple of weeks of November are the tipping point, and now is when that wave is going to come in hot, heavy, and crash. So, but we will have survivors. People will survive this because, oh my gosh, what is it? Oh my God, I lost. I think it's Deucalion, right? Deucalion of the Deucalion Typhon combination is a flood survivor. And so we're going to survive this. Okay. And also things to keep in mind and are of note. Hecate, the Titan goddess, who is currently being written up by writers as associated with witchcraft, because it's kind of sexy and scary using that power word witchcraft. But that's not the whole of who she is. So I want you to do your research. She was also her image was often put on the front of houses because she's the protector of home and hearth. This is about women and women energy and female energy, because things that have to do with water, things that have to do with children, things that have to do with food, right? Things that have to do with home and hearth. These are all feminine things. This is the goddess, and the goddess has risen. She's been around for a while, in case you haven't noticed. So we've got a whole lot happening, and I think right now we're seeing another pounding wave coming up to probably be a tidal wave, or a typhoon, that's really going to drive a point home. So it will be interesting to watch. So these are the gods and goddesses that are coming up fast and furious at the beginning of the month. So it would be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, Eastern Europe, I'm expecting to come up very prominently given these asteroids, especially Dwana or Dzieweanna, however this is pronounced, right? The Slavic goddess of the wild, the forest and hunt, and the first feminist goddess, honest to God. Deucalion and Typhon representing floods and flood survivors, and also in the same breath, Hidalgo, which represents the revolution, lower noblemen rising up to start the revolution, right? So that we can self-manage our worlds instead of having other people make rules for us. Industria and Hecate all coming in, hot and heavy. So we got a whole team here happening. So this is going to be an interesting first couple of weeks. It's going to be very, very important. Now, some of the things, the other thing, just one real quick note, and then I'm going to send you on your way, and we'll get to the November horoscope as soon as I can. Um, Last week or in the last couple of weeks, nemesis and narcissist. I know you guys know what each of these words mean, right? Nemesis is, your natural enemy, right? The key to your undoing. And narcissist, of course, we are all painfully aware of what narcissist means now. Those two have been running together, right? Emphasizing each other since the last couple of weeks of October. So the key to someone's undoing is their narcissism, and it's really kicked in this last couple of weeks of October, last week, 2 weeks. And it will start to fade out as we go into the beginning of November, only because it will be eclipsed by the consequences. Deucalion, Typhon, Dzieweanna, Hidalgo, Industria, and Hecate, all coming in heavy. The consequences of this nemesis narcissist combination, because clearly some people in life, and it's not just at the top, it's everywhere, need to learn a little humility and maybe recognize that arrogance is not the key. Remember that CEO that got caught on the jumbotron on the screen with his girlfriend while his wife was at home for the whole world to see, right? That California tech guy. So it's, a lot of that, narcissist and nemesis. So that occurred in the last couple of weeks of October. We were going to see the fallout from it quickly, starting this first couple of weeks of November. So I'll put the links below with the correct spellings for these goddesses and asteroids. You can look them up, have some fun researching them, and I'll get the I'll get the November horoscope to you as soon as I can. All right, bye.